Thursday night.
I know you are.
It just happened. Like it literally just happened in the last 2 days.
Oh, I think we're live, Jennifer.
I know you are. I saw the button. I saw you push it. That was not the plan.
What's going on, Jennifer Lacey?
Just, changing the world.
Yeah. How was your week? What is going on, Omniverse? Welcome to No BS with Jen and Jess.
Yes. Welcome. Good morning.
How was your week, sister?
It's been amazing and just like all over the place. And my mind has been blown because when I get to be in a space where I get to connect with like my people and like my tribe and the people that are out there, like changing our industry, like I'm like on fire, like nonstop. So at the end of every night, I like crashed because my brain was like done. And then it's like, get up and do it all over again.
Oh yeah, look at that. We got one of those
Hoots.
What up, Hoots? He said, "What's good, family?" Yeah, it was a pretty awesome week. I got to hang out there.
Well, we were at LCI Congress in Detroit, and just presentations and celebrations and awards and just networking and connections and just so much that it's like to me it's like Christmas morning and like Six Flags and Disney, like all mixed into 1 week of the year.
That's pretty intense.
It is. And so it's like, it takes a while to kind of come down from it and like get back into the, reality here.
Oh, hell yeah. And then you have the live stream right after.
Yes. It's like, and by the way, we're just going to continue to connect with these amazing people.
Yes. So we got Miss Gloria coming in. She says, "Happy Saturday, No BS fam."
Good morning.
And then we had, she did a live stream, I think yesterday or the day before.
Nice.
I think she's going to have a series going. So I'm going to have to find it at some point, Gloria. You keep on trucking.
Heck yeah. Good job.
And we got another person whose face is always
troublemaker.
What's up, Felipe?
Yes, he was all over with his live streaming. He had this little pack that he created that he's walking around Congress with like this cord and a microphone and a camera. I mean, he had a portable little podcast, little contraption.
Like Universal Soldier. You ever seen that movie?
Yes.
And then we got James, who wasn't in Detroit, but in the DFW area making some big waves.
Yes, absolutely. So he's changing the game locally and and that's blowing up too and having some great conversations here. So, and it makes me happy because this is my market too. So we got people that are getting exposed and having real conversations to be able to move the needle. So good job, James.
Heck, oh man, it's happening. It is going down. So and then we got Miss Leslie coming in from New York City.
Good morning, Leslie.
And Leslie says hi to Gloria. Did I tell you, Jen, that we all got to meet?
Oh, no, can we just, okay, we got it. We get it.
With Steve Martin also.
I know.
Oh man, we got some good people. We got everybody showing up. We got Bradley. What's up,
Bradley?
Says morning, and then we got Maria Martin.
Good morning, Maria.
What's going on, girl? Brad says it is freezing in Reno.
It's just raining here. It's not cold.
Telling people, like, give them the 1, 2, 3.
Absolutely. So, a couple of things. Those of you that are on for the first time, and you could still be in the background, and we don't know you're there, that's okay. We always welcome everybody to be on, but if you could drop a blue heart in the comments. If you don't know how to do the blue heart, that's okay. You can right click and go to emojis, or you can just write blue heart if you want, if you're not sure where to find it. But the blue heart lets us know it's the first time you've joined us or the first time that you've actually typed something, like to let us know you're out there. And it does a couple of things. Number one, we want to celebrate you just for, making that jump. But two, it allows every other person on this call to connect with you. And when we say we have a No BS tribe, we have a No BS tribe. We have an amazing group of people, a community that celebrates and hypes up and, hey, I'm here if you need me, that kind of stuff. But it's also like, hey, I've got this problem. So it's a group of people that can continue to elevate and celebrate and be there. if we have any things that we want to talk about and stuff like that. So they will jump on you and like your stuff and all that stuff. So if you are new or if you're writing for the first time, please put a blue heart in your comment.
Boom. Do it. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I see Yesenia and Sarah.
Her race got canceled.
Oh, no. Happy birthday, Yesenia. Happy birthday.
Yes. Happy folks. Drop some happy birthday comments, some happy birthday emoticon celebrations to celebrate Yesenia. It's her birthday today. She was going to be running her first half marathon. The weather decided otherwise, which is okay. It gives her some time to let her hamstring heal, and then come back and knock it out. Oh, look, we got some blue hearts, but before the blue hearts, we got Sarah. Good badass Saturday morning. If you haven't seen her bring out your badass self live streams, you can check them out. Felipe coming in from YouTube land says, long-time listener and full-time blue heart supporter.
Yes, he will jump on anybody and everybody, and he will give them some love.
Heck yeah. How about this one? Mr. Rob.
We got to hang out this week.
We got to meet in person.
I know. How cool was that?
Oh, here's another one. We got Mr. John Doggett. What's up, John?
Tell me.
So, John, we've connected. He's a fellow lean psychopath. Okay. And we were, back and forth. I'm like, dude, you need to come and hang out with us. And so y'all need to follow John. He's out there, leading the charge, going against the grain.
Welcome, John.
And serving the community for sure. Man, there's like lots of
welcome to the crazy.
Yeah, welcome to the crazy. So speaking of crazy, Jennifer Lacey.
Yes.
Where did this crazy idea come
from? Where do all of our ideas come from? Interesting enough, we were at both, you happened to be swinging through Detroit. And so we were there having a conversation with some of our people that we like to hang out with. And it's like, oh, well, what is your topic going to be Saturday? And I believe this was Wednesday. Wednesday, like 3 days ago. And we were sitting there and we were having, and someone that's in our tribe was like, what's your topic going to be? And I looked at Jesse and Jesse looked at me. We're like, I don't know. What do you think it needs to be? And so we started talking and throwing things around, and this person is kind of going through some big changes. And so as we were having this conversation, this whole, what path are you walking? Are you walking the path you should be on? Has your path changed? Just all these things started coming into the conversation. And we went, Jesse, we need to talk about paths and like whose path, and is it your path, or are you kind of going down a path that someone else defined? And that is how we got to this topic today.
It was a straight path. I was watching a documentary on Yogi Berra, and one of his yogiisms was, when you come to a fork in the road, pick a direction. Yeah. And so we got Lance. I see Lance on like my phone here. He's not coming up in the comments. Not sure why, Lance, but I see you, bro. I know it's 6:00 in the morning for you. You and Felipe both. Appreciate y'all being here. And then we have
good morning, James.
So James interviewed me. It's brought it a week ago or so. I'm sure the episode.
You got another interview already with him?
I think you have, haven't you?
I think I only had one.
Okay.
Well, that means I need another one.
Oh, got you. Yeah. I've only had like 2 or 3. So anyway, he did a phenomenal job in the interview. We talked a lot about the book. He read the book and almost more intently than I did. But he has some awesome questions. I listened to the replay. I'm like, man, you made me sound smart. All right. So there's a lot of conversation there about temperature. You got some rain going on your part of the world, Jennifer.
Yes.
And so if Jennifer blinks out, y'all know, I got my back brace on so I can carry all the weight, and y'all's help through the conversation will be appreciated.
But there is a comment. Leslie said LinkedIn's being a little glitchy, and so she's moving over to YouTube. So if you're having some issues with LinkedIn, the live stream, YouTube may be another option.
Yes, we are on YouTube as well. Thank you for the heads up, Leslie. Look at that. Jay, he just texted me.
Oh, you got to put it out there. It's like you just have to say it. Once you say it, things happen.
Well, and I think it makes sense because I mean I've been able to be a direct witness to your path, and there's been some significant change and significant growth. And so, as it relates to the question, Jen,
Yes.
and what you might be talking about with James, is how does this question resonate with you? If you look like what is first, maybe what's the time scale that when you look back, what is the time scale of recognizing that you were on somebody else's path, playing somebody else's script to transitioning to your own?
Jesse, I think this is a softball question because I know that you know that when our lives collided, it like kind of I was just going down my path, like I was just like rinse and repeat, and then you like came in and you knocked me completely off my feet when we like started collaborating and doing the things that we did, and because of the the live streams and the book and our conversations and this platform, like it expanded, I think, in my mind, the opportunities because I think I was having success. So nothing was like bad. I was just doing this comfortable thing, and I was, doing the things that I love and I was passionate about. So it wasn't like a bad thing, but I realized once we started doing some things that, oh my gosh, there's like all these other things that I'm kind of good at, and I can kind of go in and impact a lot of people. And it made me have to stop and like reflect and really think about what do I want to do? How can I do the things that are mine and still create change? And like that, just that in itself, and I'll stop with that, but just that in itself, like it was almost like my mind like exploded.
Okay. So the mind explosion, what does that mean? Like, was it an explosion because you had to wake up at Saturday at 8:00 every other day, every other week?
It was an explosion because as much as I was doing and as much as I was impacting things, I was still limiting like where I could go and what I could do and what I was allowing to happen. So I was still like, as much as it, and I didn't like have someone going, stop, 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 stop. Like I didn't have those hard barriers or those parameters. They were in my mind.
Ooh. So I got a personal text that says, what are you limiting barriers in your mind? What does Jennifer mean by that?
Whatever. No, but I think a lot of us, and I've experienced it over the course of my career, is our limitations and the things that we allow ourselves to do, or those places that we allow ourselves to go, or the change that we just embrace. Like a lot of that is like not someone keeping us from doing that, not an entity that says you can no longer go down this way. It is our own insecurities, our own almost imposter syndrome of like, I'm not sure I'm worthy to really to go and do that because of all these other things that we have created in our mind.
Yeah.
And you kind of live in that space for a while until you kind of work yourself through it, whether it's the group you have around you, validating you, making you feel like, okay, you are worthy, but also like you just having to like take that jump and do it and see what happens. And we talk a lot about just do the damn thing. Like what is that thing that, okay, it could be messy, you could fall, it could be a disaster. But if you just continue to try to make it perfect and okay, got all the things out, the outline, got the description, got all these things that are like, okay, now I know it's gonna work out. It's still gonna end up maybe being messy and failing, but now you've wasted all this time that you could have 5-6 reps going in and doing something that you wouldn't have if you just didn't jump.
Yes.
All of that.
Yeah. Well, so okay, thank you for that, Jen, because there's a couple things going on in the chat.
Yes.
So let me go there and then we'll come back.
Okay.
So first, Adam Hoot says hashtag baller talk, right? Like, because for real, right? That's what it is. And so there was some glitchiness on the LinkedIn. So a bunch of folks transitioned over to YouTube. And James is, so one thing that we learned the last time, that one experiment that we ran is when you go to YouTube, everybody has kind of a different handle. So trying to know who's who is a little different. And also you won't see the density of chat that we typically have in LinkedIn. So not sure what the problem is, y'all, but please bring your chat, your comments and thoughts and ideas, and I'll do my best to get them up on the screen as time goes through, and connect, right? So Leslie is the conflict strategist on the YouTube, so you can go follow her YouTube channel. She's connected with James and so forth, so it's a good idea, a good excuse to add new connections.
Yes.
Now you talked about like just do the damn thing and like it's scary, whatever, or etc. And it reminds me of one thing we had talked about before of like failure is the price of entry.
Oh, that quote right there. Say it again, Jesse.
Failure is the price of entry. How helpful is that thought for you, Jennifer Lacey?
I think in the industry, we work in construction. Not everyone does, but we do. And I think the idea of failure, it's like always like embrace failure and it's okay and it's going to be whatever. But we work in construction, and sometimes failure could lead to death. And so I think the mindset is like, like we've got to make sure we're proactive and we're planning, and we've got all these things in place and all the processes and then the policies and all these things so that we can protect people and not put people at risk. And that is our mindset, which is good because we don't want anyone to get hurt. And I think sometimes when we think about failure, we think the worst case scenario. And that's all of us, is that we don't want these horrible things to happen. But like failure doesn't have to be that extreme. It's doing something for the first time or trying something new with a group of people. And I'm going to let you share a story in a little bit, and I'm going to poke you a little bit, but and it doesn't go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally could be like you walk out of there going, that was a freaking disaster. Was that a loss?
Right.
And I think, but our minds go to that, like, I failed. Like that, I should have just left it, walked away, never tried to do that. But as soon as we leave that scenario or that situation, like, we are better. And I think we have a hard time like embracing that, because like we don't stop and go, well, what did I learn and how can I do better? And I'm going to do this again. And but like, if we don't get those reps and we in our mind start creating all these scenarios and like, this is how I'm going to make it perfect. I don't know how many people out there can say that every time they have that plan, it goes exactly the way they wanted it to, but it has never gone that way for me.
Yeah. Well, and Mr. Rodney Ashmore, what's up, Rodney?
I got to meet him this week for the first time.
Yes.
He's a Blue Heart guy, so like he doesn't know it.
Attack.
Yes.
Failure's the cost. Love it. Some of the best processes he's come up with have been because of failure. And you said it right. Like, yes, in construction, we lose lives, right? We hurt and kill people in our industry. Mm-hmm. And that is, but it is very rare that failure is fatal, right? I think we perceive it to be this huge, monumental, like, oh my God, if I fail, it's the end of the world. And I think there's some stuff about the way we've evolved and the way our brain wants to conserve energy and all that other nerdy crap. I'm not going to go there. What I want to, like, yes, it's true. We want to conserve energy. Change is hard. Change requires energy. And so when we want to conserve energy, we want to stay the same and stay where we're at. Mm-hmm. But for me, this is more of a question of not necessarily failing. It's more of a question of the friction that I experience when I'm living somebody else's expectations.
Oh.
It's the feeling, the struggle of reconciling, that is not what the hell I want. That is not how I best serve. And fighting with, but I should, but what if they're disappointed? What if this path that I'm on that has never been traveled, that there's nobody I can go to like seek advice and direction from? What if I'm wrong? Because I didn't follow the straight path, the recommended path, the path most people talk about. And so before we dive into that, Maria says, and I agree, the only limits that exist are those you place on yourself, right? The problems, the enormity of the failure or the scariness is only as big as we feel it when it's in our brain. When we actually do the damn thing, we find out like, that wasn't such a big deal. And then Mr. Rob Grady, what's up, Rob? He says, The Mountain Is You, Brian West. Good book to check out, right? So again, it is within our locus of control, our power, all that other good stuff to decide. Like, yes, it's scary. Yes, it may not be awesome. And what else could be true? Because yes, the negative outcomes could be true. And what else could be true? It could be awesome. We could learn a lot. We could have all kinds of expansive, not expensive, expansive experiences. But we have to face the friction of going outside of the prescribed paths that people, I think, are trapped by. What do you think, Jen?
So I do have some questions. So I have questions for you. I want to dig in a little bit in some stuff. And so we talk about reps. We talk about, our industry, and you have been doing some of your things that you're good at for a pretty long time. Okay. You kind of had a windy road to get to where you are today. And so I know you have a story, and it's like when you worked as a plumber and all of that, with one company, and then you made a big jump into another company, and right when you joined the new company, you kind of got thrown into into an exercise. Okay. And that was a while ago, like that. And you, since then, and I'm going to kind of paint the picture and let you tell the story. And then since then, you've had a lot of reps with a lot of different teams, and even some different companies. And now you're doing it on your own, and yet you can still have failure. Can you talk through some of that?
Yeah. So the one thing that you were the first thing that you brought up, well, maybe I'll talk maybe in a more global perspective. So one thing that I'm aware of, and this was kind of where that conversation came from, is my learnings. Like, I'm very aware of my learning cycles. And so what does that mean? Like early in my career, there was like a 3 to 5 year window before I got frustrated and bored with the work that I was doing, and was also ready for another big step. And so every 3 to 5 years, my position, my responsibility, my influence would grow dramatically. Now, early on in my career, most of those jumps were pretty logical in the sense that it was a big promotion, right? It was blah, blah, blah. Now, what was happening like behind the scenes? So for example, when I got promoted from foreman to superintendent, like that's a logical promotion. Putting together a training and development program for people to go from foreman to superintendent is not logical, right? Like, not everybody that goes to become a superintendent has to do that. I did that. So in those periods of growth, it wasn't just a promotion. It was also discovering ways that I could serve and provide meaningful, lasting impact. So within the company, I was there 17 years, and those things kind of kept happening. Did an internship program, ESL program, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Then I went to the new company. First, it was like in the first 2 weeks, I was doing my orientation, meeting with different people. They were doing the same work as I was. And there was a big, giant collaborative planning session that was happening for the San Francisco airport. I was supposed to meet my buddy, Thomas LeMay, there. And I still haven't discerned whether it was planned or unplanned, but he wasn't able to make it to the meeting.
And you've been with the company for
less than a month.
Okay.
It was like within my first month of being with the company. Now, not only within being with the company, it was also less than a month of me working for a general contractor.
Yes.
A month before that, I was one of them dirty field scum guys. I was a plumber, right? Like I was a trade partner. And so there were some big giant leaps that I had to make in my head that I still hadn't entirely made, in terms of, you know, working in San Antonio for a local mechanical contractor, never having been with the like all of these gaps that I had. And hey, Jess, I'm running late. Can you kick it off?
What did you have to kick off?
So it was a freaking meeting with like the city, the designers, the architects, the airport, like all these, for the freaking San Francisco airport. Huge, right? Like just a big leap in terms of scale and magnitude. And so I just like, okay, like I've been in these types of situations where it's like, okay, this is not ideal, but let's just use what you got. Use what you know, use what you got. And I did. I said, hey, what is that thing? And he kind of explained, I said, okay, let's get a big print out of that and put that on the wall. And then I did what I know how to do, like, because that's all I could do. The outcome was pretty awesome, according to Thomas, right? Because he got there and like, shit, okay, I'm off the hot seat now and take it over. But he told me that it was pretty awesome. Now, I could have gotten stuck on, I'm a plumber. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never talked to architects. I never talked to city officials. I never talked to
I am not worthy,
right? And so it turned out to be really good. Now, when I made that step from leaving the mechanical contractor to go to work for the big giant GC, it was extremely difficult. Like emotionally and mentally, because I had been with the company 17 years. Who leaves a job that you've had for 17 years where I've got all the comfort in the world, all the relationships, all the influence, like to go do this thing that I've never, ever done before, right? It doesn't make sense.
Why did you do that, Jesse?
Because I had, and that was the thing, right? So back to like the big question is, whose path are you walking? And so in some cases, I was walking the path that my parents wanted for me. I was walking the paths that my friends wanted for me. What I'm very cognizant of, and I want to put this out there for people, and I might not do a good job of like articulating it, but I had to make the leap because the path that I was walking at that point in time in my life was the path of the person I used to be. It was not the path of the person that I could be. What do you think about that?
No, yes, and I think that is when you asked me the question and I talked about like what I was doing and the person that I used to be and coming into an industry and learning things for the first time and trying to be able to be in the rooms and what can I gather that can help me grow and help me continue to be better at my job. Like that is what I had done for a very long time. And again, you say 17 years, I've been with the company, I'm with 20 years. So my shifts and my changes have been internal, some of them, but I had been doing something for almost 16 years and then started having conversations with other people and went, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And you're in a company and that is your role and what you've done. And now I've got to figure out, okay, what does that mean? Do I leave? And go find another firm that can give me what I'm looking for? Or at that moment, do I own that? Okay, well, maybe this company needs that. And and then how can I embrace that and be a person that has kind of learned along my journey, but also like, hey, I think I can be this person that can lead this. And that was scary. And that was a big thing. But being in the firm that I pitched it and they agreed. And so I was able to, again, take that pivot and do something inside my company, which was a big one. And it was changed my passion and my purpose and what I was doing. But that shift inside my company then opened a world up outside my company. So again, it didn't mean I needed to leave, to be able to find that. And some people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when I made that shift inside my company, now the community, now the conversations, now the relationships that I was created this whole, I don't even say persona, because I believe I'm the same person inside and out, but now the impact and the influence and the way I could serve our industry changed, because it made it be bigger than the company I worked for. So yes, I agree.
Yeah. So along that, there's a couple things that have come through. There's a lot of talk in there about failure. So Mr. Bruce Bunkston, what's going on?
Welcome, Bruce.
He says, you win some, you learn some.
Yes.
Right? Not you win some, you lose some. You win some, you learn some. I love that.
Love it.
And then the troublemaker, Bruce Gummel, says, hey,
these Bruces, man, they got all the knowledge today.
Man, I'm telling you. So first, I got to go back to Mr. Buxton. He just finished like a 60-mile hike.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, he backpacked. He had a post on LinkedIn that of course I interacted with. And I asked him like what were some of the awakenings that he had on that path, and he shared some great stuff. So if you go follow Bruce and find that post, because he shared some really, really great wisdom. And then Christine Fuentes has impeccable taste, because she's sharing a quote that says, I was walking the path of the person I used to be, not walking the path of the person I could be. Gold from Jesse.
I will give you that. That is absolutely something that I think we all need to stop and think about. Like, what the path we're walking, is it because it was laid out in front of, we're walking it and just, strolling, or it's like, are we just going like, what could be? And I think Sarah has a comment that feeds right into yours.
So Sarah says, the challenge I tend to find is when I ask people, what do you want your path to look like? Some are struggling with what they actually want. Yes. Yes.
But it's a good question, because they're forced to have to look forward.
Like pick your head up all of a sudden. Like,
right.
Oh my good. Okay, we're gonna dive into this.
Yes, do it.
So Mike Kyman just dropped the one. What's up, Mike?
Good morning, Mike.
The alignment of what you wanted aligned with what others saw inside of you. So that's an important point. Yes. And thank you, Mike. Like we had dinner. I don't know if it was this week or last week. It feels like it was a year ago, but I know it was recent. And I talk about it in the book, right? It's like the vision, the persona, the aptitude, the limitations that I see. Like when I think of myself, all I see is my shortcomings. All I see is the disappointments and failures and gaps in knowledge and experience. And like, that's what I see. But when I interact with other people, and you touched on this earlier, right? When you and I collided, there was a shift. When I interact with other people, I get to see a different version of me. I get glimpses of what I could be. Now, that doesn't mean that like, I'm going to go do that right now.
Right.
But I see it, and I'll start tinkering and flirting around with the idea. And Mike Kyman was one of those people, one of many, that he saw something a long time ago that I thought was like, I ain't going to do that. And now here we are. And he's like, yeah, like I told you so. He didn't say that. And so what I want to like pose for people to consider is, and it ties to Sarah's question, right? It's like when people ask you, what do you want your future to look like? We don't spend a lot of time thinking about that. And when I was in that state, I felt selfish and greedy and ungrateful for wanting more. All right. And now I want to be clear. I didn't want more stuff. I lived that life. I knew the end of what that was actually going to produce. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted more of. Now I know. What I wanted more of, that I was feeling greedy about, was I wanted more fulfillment. Right? The problem was I didn't know exactly what I wanted more of. I just needed more. Once I understood, like, oh, I need more fulfillment, I'm not greedy anymore. I'm not ungrateful anymore, because how do I like achieve fulfillment? It's through serving others. And so for me, that's what happened. And so back to Sarah's question is like, what do you want your path to look like? Like, I want my path to look like serving others. I want to be able to pause every now and then and turn around and look and define it and look at the markers, like the markers on my path that say this is how and where he was and where he went, to be people's lives that I've impacted. And when I say that, I mean their thinking. I want it to be people that I touched in such a way that I helped them make a decision, not left or right. Just the fact that they made the decision, that's what I want to do. But getting there took a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a question for all of us to think about. So I want to pose a question to the Omniverse. And that question is, what's keeping you from exploring your own path? And now I'm going to attack you, Jennifer Lacey.
No, don't do it.
So you talk about the collision, right? When we met and started the whole thing. Were you exploring your own path before that? We'll start with that.
I think that I maybe was doing it subconsciously. I don't think I was intentional. I think that when my shift happened with my role and I was able to be in a place. Okay, let me backtrack and then I'll answer your question.
Yep.
So 2 big things that I want to make sure everyone's paying attention to, and some of the stuff Jesse's talked about and some of the stuff I've talked about. I think there's 2 big things that it took me a while to figure out and to realize the importance of it. So number 1 is listening. Is we could get in this monotonous, very comfortable place, and I could still be having success doing what I was doing, with what was in my past. But I had people around me that were saying things and that were, you need to be here. Or, hey, I want to invite you to this. Or, hey, like they saw something. And it's so easy for us to tune that out because of what we've done and what we feel we're great at, or what we're competent at, or what our subject matter expertise is those are the things that it's easy for us to tune out going, yeah. Okay. Thanks. But that's it. And then we just keep doing what we're doing. And so number 1 is listen and pay attention to those little nuggets or text or comments or someone saying, hey, you should come in and do that, whatever. So just like that listening, it's so tiny and it doesn't cost anything, but like listen to the people around you and the conversations and, man, you should come and do this, or, hey, I want to invite you to come do this. Number 1, hear those things, allow yourself to hear them. But 2, the second part of how I think it shifted me was I started to say yes. And it was not a planned, prescribed, outlined, here's the path. Yes. It was, hey, come do this with us. Okay. Hey, let's jump on this live stream and we're going to talk about this. Okay. Hey, let's write a book. Okay. Like you just start saying yes to things. And I'm not blanket, say yes to everybody because you will have no time for yourself. But like start looking, and when you get opportunities in front of you that scare the crap out of you or that you have no idea. And Jesse, that's part of going back to your question is when we collide, a lot of the things that you and I have done, when the question got brought up, hey, Jennifer, I have these letters that I was thinking about doing a live stream. 1, never done a live stream. 2, you're talking about creating a conversation around things that weren't my experience. They were your experience that you brought to me, like all these things. And I was just like, okay. And so I want to throw it back to you in a minute on like, how was that received? Because there's not many things with all the stuff you and I do that I've said no to.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when you say you listen and then you say yes, like the doors that opens and allows you start to see on places maybe you shouldn't go down. And okay, I gotta not make that choice again. But also like what it has opened up for me inside my company and out on just like the exposure, the connections, the relationships that, all these people, I'm looking at all these names over here in our feed, and like a lot of those people 2 years ago, I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
2.5, maybe 3. I don't know, however it is. But
Yeah,
yes.
around there. So, all right, Jen. I know you're going to come attack me, but we've got some responses to the question.
Okay.
And so I want to make sure we don't overlook those.
We'll come back.
So we got Bruce. Bruce says nothing to the question of what's keeping you from exploring your own path. He says nothing. It's the only path I've ever cared about. All right. And I've been around Bruce enough to know, like, that's not him just talking smack.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's doing his thing. Then Mr. Jared Wilson, I got to meet in person in Detroit. He says, only myself and fear of failure. All right. And so, Jared, I know you made a comment earlier that you're running a little behind schedule. And one of the things that we talked about was, like, it is rare that fear or that failure is fatal. And so another thing that you and I were talking about, Jen, is like the fear of failure. I'm not afraid of failing. I fail all the damn time. Mm-hmm. What stresses my brain or gets in and twists me all up is not the idea of failing. It's the concern of what people will say and think about me.
The judgment. It's
the judgment that boggles my mind. Failure, I don't care. But what kind of judgment will that bring? Like, and when I say boggles my mind, like, it enters my head and I say, well, let's go find out. Like, I don't let it stop me.
But when we allow that little voice, whatever that is, like, that can stop us in our tracks.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, well, okay, like, what's someone gonna say? Is it gonna influence this? Like, there's a lot. And Felipe, I know Felipe's over there in the comments, but I know he just this week talked about, and we're not digging into that this week, but like that personal brand that you are, and that, like, how do you divide those things up between personal and work, and those voices that, like, keep you from, going out and exploring things. That's the word I'm using. Exploring those things that you maybe never tried, or that you're, what is somebody going to say? And if that's the first thing that goes through your head, then you got some other things to work on.
I agree. Oh man, we got like tons of.
Hey, do it. Bring them.
Oh man, so we got James Gable, the uncommon communicator, says, me, myself, and I are all keeping me from exploring my own path. When I fully embrace that it's me, nothing can hold me back.
Yes.
Right? Like, yes, exactly. Bradley says, you don't know what you don't know. He had to take a deliberate step to encourage insight from others. No filters, construction, criticism, only benefits both. So you have to put yourself out there, right? Like, you just have to, so that you can figure it out, so you can refine your message, so you can learn rapidly. And you mentioned it, Felipe, right? He flipped it. It's like a fuel for him. He was surprised that he used his own fears and doubts to fuel his actions, to do the damn thing of taking action, sharing with others, and going farther. Inside Out is my pathfinder.
Yes.
And then this one, we're going to have to dig into this one. Yesenia says, the fear of leaving someone behind. So let's just take a quick pause there in terms of what's keeping you from exploring your own path. Yesenia says the fear of leaving someone behind. What are your thoughts on that, Jen?
Well, I think there's a couple. Number one is when I think about the fear of leaving someone behind, I see it as almost the fear of having to let things go. And so, again, people or whatever, baggage, whatever you want to say, is that I know that when as we were colliding and I was having to, like, figure out what I wanted to do, I had hesitations, and I had things that I allowed myself to worry and kind of, and you had to live them. So I appreciate you staying around. But there were things that, like, I was allowed, and I had to, like, let those insecurities go. I had to let the concern and the fear go, which also, once I did that and I made the decision that this is me and this is how I show up and this is what people are going to get. And there may be people that are not as embracing of that. But once I said, like, I know this is going to impact lives, and I know it's going to change our industry, and I had to like let that go. It allowed me to just completely like go full speed ahead. And I didn't realize that how much it was holding me back and how much it was limiting the impact I could have because of the fear and the concern and the insecurities and all those things. I mean, it was weighing me down and I didn't even know it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the most explicit example I have of this, because I've been there. I had an apprentice, man, this is way back in the day. And the fool, like, I tried like hell to help him get his GED so he can get into apprenticeship program, so he can get his license. And I spent like 3 years with him, picking him up, taking him to work. He was on my job. Like, I wanted to help this guy do well. In the process, there were other very talented, high potential apprentices that I didn't, because I was giving one person all this time. And finally, I was like, oh, it's been 3 years. Like, I put up with more of his crap than I did with any of my wives combined. And I finally was like, okay, I just gotta like cut the cord. And it was amazing, like not amazing. It was like convicting in that as soon as we cut and he went to work with another plumber, within a freaking year, the guy went, got his GED, took his test, got his license. I was his crutch, right? I handicapped him, like not on purpose, but I handicapped him. And at the same time, there were so many other people that I was better suited to serve. Like, I was not the flavor he needed. And I was trying like hell to be that person. And so that was like a really big awakening for me. Like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I am going to have to leave some people behind. And that's going to be a better outcome, not just for me, but for them too. Right? So thank you for that one, Yesenia. Yes. Man, we got some good stuff.
I know.
And then Rodney, this is phenomenal. Rodney says, when he hires someone new, it's what they do with their failure that helps me to know what type of employee they will be.
Yes.
So Jen, from that perspective, how do you apply that like in your personal life?
It's not fair. We're talking about work. So a couple of things is I struggle sometimes with spending money, and there's a backstory, and it's just growing up and what sacrifices I had to make as a child, and also, you know, with a single parent. And so a lot of those have carried forward, and there are things that maybe, you know, I didn't make the best choices. And so now all those carry forward, and I struggle with spending money sometimes when I shouldn't have to sacrifice some things, and I do. And then the other is just making a dang decision. And those are like two things that I have struggled with, and you have witnessed that the control that I need to be able to, you know, control my life and control outcomes and all those things, like that has allowed me to get where I'm at, or at least got me where at a point in my life. But it was still hindering me. And I didn't so much see it as much as it allowed me to be comfortable and felt like that I was able to pave the path that I thought I wanted. So it gave me those little bricks to continue to do that. I had no idea that the path I was paving was going one direction, because of what, you know, everything I had done and accomplished and my thoughts and my ideas, and I needed to be going this direction. But it was all those things in my head of the control and the control and the control. And if I'm continuing trying to control everything and trying to predict everything and trying to plan for everything, and again, those things are good and you need those things in your life. But if every decision you make is about continuing to put that next brick down, how are you going to stop and pivot and go a different direction? Because that brick is just going to continue to build up on the path you're already on.
Yes. I love it, Jen.
Did I answer your question?
I'd answered my question. I think it offers a lot of value for the Omniverse, the No BS tribe. Because when you're designing your own path, it's all about you're laying the bricks. That path is not out there. And you just got to take the next rightest step, right? Like, and it may not be like it's going to be funky, and it's okay. It'll work, right? Steve Martin says, "Order the damn nachos, Jennifer."
That's a whole nother story.
And then Rob Grady says, to help get over the fear, he tries to remember that if he asks for something, the worst thing that can happen is the other person says no. Like how, like, amen, right? Like, and that was one thing starting my business that I had to like learn how to embrace that, right? Instead of I want to win every proposal and every deal, I want to have a 100% batting average. Like if there's some kind of hall of fame for consultants, it's the reps. And people get to say no. Like that's not the end of the world. People say no. Now I want to go back to the idea of how people, what they do with their failure that helps what in Rodney's case, like what kind of employee they will be. I use that lens like all over the place. Mm-hmm. So for me, the way people respond to conflict, the way people respond to failure, the way people respond to insecurity, challenging, I'm watching all of that.
Yep.
Right. I don't pay a whole, like, I'll hear the words that you say because, I'm pretty good at choosing my words. And if y'all don't know this, I'm a pretty damn good liar. I just don't lie as often as I used to. I give a little bit more attention to people's actions. Mm-hmm. But I also know that some people are as manipulative and calculating as I am. So I don't give actions all the weight that I used to. Mm-hmm. What I really pay attention to is people's reactions, like their reaction in the moment to less than amazing outcomes. Those are indicators to me of a few things. One, how can I help them? Mm-hmm. Two, do I want to invest the time to help them? And three, do they have what it takes to overcome the friction? Mm-hmm. Because going back to our collision, that first conversation that you and I had was a 3-hour conversation. Right? And it was like first time we ever had like a real one-on-one conversation. Nope. You got vulnerable, like right out of the gate. You shared some real stuff that I don't think you normally would share. Mm-hmm. And all of that was just a matter of you having this open dialogue. Mm-hmm. And what I interpreted was like, okay, everything that I've been watching on the social medias and all the stuff, like, okay, this is for real. And there's more. Mm-hmm. And she has the courage to like put up with the weird stuff that I like to do and tinker around with. And so I share that so that folks, like, what do you do in conflict? Pay attention. I'm going to close this point. Pay attention to how you respond during conflict. And I don't mean like just in arguments. I mean when shit don't go the way you wanted to go, like all of that conflict, internal conflict, how do you respond? Because you're signaling to people
yes,
stuff. Adam said it on James's podcast interview, like, you're never not communicating. We're always signaling to people all the time. And our response to conflict is an important one. The other thing on that line is you can absolutely choose how you respond to conflict. Right?
Yes. Like, and just based on the things you're saying, like in my mind, it's you get to run either way. So do you run and hide and make sure that you are protecting yourself, or do you run towards it? And those are like things that every time there's a conflict or every time there's something that's uncomfortable, or you have to have that conversation that is that, which way do you run? And those are like literally what can change the dynamic of what they see you do and how you like, oh, that kind of evaded, or I'm gonna send an email, or I'm gonna send a text, or do I come and we confront this conversation head on, and we are going to get there, and I'm gonna get vulnerable and you're gonna get vulnerable, and we may have some emotions going on, and in the end, we are in a better place. Like, those are options. You get to have the option of which direction you're gonna run every time something like this happens. And if you run and hide, then guess what they're gonna do? When there's an issue, when there's a conflict, when there's a constraint, when they've screwed up, they're going to run and hide. And then it's going to just continue to grow and snowball until it's something so big that like it's going to impact so much more than if you could have just had the conversation.
Yeah. And so here's another one. How do you know when, like, what does it feel like when a different path reveals itself for you, Jen? What did that feel like? Like, okay, I've been doing this, I've been going down this path, and this cycle came in. There's this other thing. Is there this other thing? What the, like, and the reason I'm asking is so, like, folks out there in the Omniverse, if you're, I'm just going to say it, I know a bunch of folks out there are going down a path and they are feeling some kind of way about it. And so that's kind of the thing I want to talk about, to like, let's point at it so that people can understand, like, yes, that's what I'm feeling, or no, that's not what I'm feeling.
I will just own that it's scary. And a lot of times, like, yes, superhero cape, and we're got rock stars and we're out there changing the world. And to own that I'm scared, and to own that, like, I feel super vulnerable based on, like, one, how I'm feeling, and two, I should be able to come in a room and command the, what it is that I know and how I can, impact people. And that's how I show up, and to communicate that I'm trying this new thing, or there's this opportunity here, and I'm scared to death. And I could screw it up, or I don't have all the answers, or I don't know what it could be. Like, to me, it puts me in my most vulnerable place, because to be the person that I am and that I believe that I can be, and to be able to own that I don't know how it's going to end up, like, that scares me. But, and in the past, it stopped me. Because it stopped me because I didn't know what was next, and I didn't know what it could be or what it couldn't be. And the change and just a lot of the conversations you and I've had, and the things that in the last 2 or 3 years, it now, like, I don't know how many of you like go to Six Flags, or you go to do the water park, and all I can think about is that the tallest water slide they have. When you go and you're zigzagging up all the way to the top, and it's like the one that does this, and then it drops, and then it goes, like, that feeling when it drops and everything is like I can barely catch my breath. Like, that is the feeling, but I always end up at the bottom and I'm fine. And so in my mind, like, when I'm about to, we call it like just jump. But when I'm in that moment where it's like, I've just got to jump, I always go back to that dang water slide. Like, cause I like feel like it's good. I got to catch my breath, but then in the end, I'm going to be okay.
Yes. And so apparently LinkedIn allows minors to have their social media account.
Blue heart. You got to give him some love.
He says our biggest moments of growth come from that vulnerability. 100%.
Yes.
Yesenia says the fear of the unknown. Like, yes, that's what it feels like. Now, for me, and I think this is like it, whatever. There's a lot of reasons that I got the damn thing. But for me, the biggest fear, what gets me like, I gotta, like, compels me into action and doing things, is the fear of staying the same.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, it's terrifying to think, to remind myself of all the years. And here's another point I want to make: to remind myself of all the years that my freaking day was Groundhog Day. My weeks were like, it was the same thing. I go to work, I get paid on Friday, I go to the bar, I did a years, like, you know, like that is the most terrifying and suffocating experience I can imagine. Now, I'm not saying it's horrible, because I feel like some people, that's what they want and that's what they need. Do that. And so that's why, Jen, your answer to the question was important around what does it feel like? Like, I'm not accusing people of walking the wrong path. I'm not. Sometimes the path that you're on, for me, the path, when I'm on my path, I feel content. I feel challenged. I feel curious. I feel dumb because I do dumb shit for everybody to see. Like, and when there's another splinter to take, that feeling is like, what is that? Is that going to take me away? Is that going to take me closer? Is it faster? Is it shorter? Like all of these things. But it piques my curiosity such that I can't ignore it. Does that make sense?
It does. And what I heard you say and where I went was all of those things happening, but were you all by yourself the whole time, Jesse?
No, I love that. So, and you reminded me about the point I wanted to make. So 2 things. No, I was not all by myself. There were amazing people in my life that reflected back to me this greater thing that I could be. They reflected back to me what I could aspire to. Like they gave me things to aspire to. The other entity that I was with were the whispers, right? And y'all have heard me talk about the whispers before. It's when the data points, sometimes it's a comment, sometimes it's something I heard, something I read, like all, and it kind of piqued my curiosity and kind of give me like, whoa, what's that? Oh shit. Like if all of these things in my universe are connected, what am I going to do with it? Right. And so that's really important. Now back to like the people in my life that reflected back to me what I could do. I get to choose. I don't got to be everything everybody wants me to be, because there are a lot of people that, you know, like negative, not going to do that. But I've been like in my later years, I've been very selective. I got my advisory council. I picked very specific people that I limit my contact with, the frequency of contact to, because because there's some folks that like they think their style of motivating people is to say, stop making excuses, just right, like very aggressive, and it's mind over matter, and do the thing, and it's all in your head, and limiting beliefs, and that doesn't work for me, right? Like if you want to motivate me, give me some food and throw me a parade. That's how you motivate. You don't motivate me by telling me I'm weak and lazy and I should work harder. That doesn't help me. And so if you're on this path that feels like something is revealing, or there may be another option, or you might be wanting to explore taking a different kind of step, the next rightest step, or like Felipe says, his life got better after he stepped away from the path others most walk. Right. And so now he has his own adventure highway that feels like adrenaline and that sort of thing. Find the type of motivator, the type of people, surround yourself with the people that demonstrate the behaviors that you seek, period. Right. Because they will help you. And another important thing that I had to do, and, you know, Mike's comment is an example of that. I can choose to not believe what other people see in me. I can choose to say, no, I have more evidence of the dirtbag that I am. Mm-hmm. I have more evidence of all the failures and disappointments and the joy that I've robbed from people's life. I have a lot of evidence for that. So I can choose to anchor on that. But what I choose to do is I've been very selective about the people that I surround myself with. And those people are good people. They're honest people. And because they're honest, I need to believe what they see. What do you think about that?
Well, yes. And I'm going to add, they challenge you and they're not bobbleheads.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just going to say, like, there are people, and we know them, that surround themselves with those accomplices and those bobbleheads that just, again, they give you the parade and they do the things I mean, like, you have the choice. And you've said that you have the choice of who you surround yourself with. And those people, you know, you're going to become a lot of the things that happen in that group. And so are you being selective? Are you really being intentional? And I want to go back because he's not going to like this, but, you know, if you have not connected to Josh, even though his picture looks like he's about 15 or 16, he is literally he's an amazing senior superintendent. And he's going to update his profile pic hopefully soon. But Josh was one of those people, and I have a handful of them. There we go. Was one of those people that on my path saw something, you know, and literally like pulled me in and encouraged me to do something different. I would not be in the role I'm in my company and what I'm doing for this industry if I didn't listen and really put myself around people that saw something else. And that's the point I want to make is, are you in that role, that rinse and repeat role, that you are just, again, you're doing it and I'm good and I've got this and I've got all the accolades and I'm good and I'm just going to keep on floating out. That may be your place. But if you want something different or you want something more, you've got to put yourself around different people. And that's scary, but it's also like they're out there and there are people out there that will do anything and everything to help continue to help you find what that path looks like. If you're still, you're still a little bit uncertain. And you need people around you that will challenge you, that will tell you no, that will tell you that's stupid, but also that will be right there to go, here's how, here, let's do this together. And just, you talk about it a lot of just when we talk sometimes, the creativity and the ideas and the things that can come from our conversations, like they don't happen just when you're sitting by yourself.
Right. Well, it's that reciprocal propulsion thing that we've talked about.
Yes.
Right? Is we're going to challenge each other. We're going to be vulnerable with each other, and it creates the environment for amazing things to happen. Mm-hmm. And so, like Sarah points out, she finds that she misspelled Jesse. Vulnerability and approach gives people permission that they may be scared, but should just leap even more. Right. So again, the people you surround yourself with will create the conditions to help you grow and or stay the same.
Yes.
And so if you're feeling like restless and irritable, discontent, dissatisfied, lost, stuck, you give me a call. Give Jen a call, right? Like, let's connect, because there's no point to stay that way. Jared Wilson says he loves himself some teenage Josh Young. So there's some stuff in the comments. Go ahead. Go.
Can we just give a shout out to Victoria, because she jumped on and she whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you, Victoria, for joining us. That's a blue heart. So go give her some love and connect with her.
Yes, Victoria. Then we have Gloria says Holy Spirit power. Yes, right. I think the whispers.
Yes.
It is there. There are things out there that are signaling to us. Ms. Leslie, conflict strategist, says words are so powerful, and changing the meeting section name to Freedom to Improve sounds like a game changer to me. Did more people engage? So that was a previous comment that James made, but it's the framing. So I had a breakthrough. I've been telling you about how I've been struggling with my eating because I love to eat, and so and I've been doing it for like 3 days, and it's made a big difference. The language that I used was, I need to eat responsibly. I need to have healthy caloric intake. I need to, limit my calories. All of those 3 statements are either negative or like after the fact, right?
Yep.
And so I was thinking, and I'm like, I was journaling, and I was like, you know what? I need to make more nutritious choices, more nutritious decisions, and which sounds probably dumb, but for me, it has been a game changer. So now I spend more time thinking about the choices before I make the decision. before I order the double quarter pounder with 6 nuggets, a Big Mac, and a Diet Coke. So anyways, the point of that was, I'm being a little silly, but the point of that was you pay attention to the language you use.
To yourself, to yourself, not your words that come out of your mouth, but like how you're communicating to yourself.
Yes, 100%. Look, Victoria says, preach it, Jen. Just learned about reciprocal propulsion in the D, wisdom for the week. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I heard that Victoria's writing a book. Yes, maybe I didn't hear that.
Put things out there at any point to any. Okay, we encourage you to put the idea out there, but once it's out there and Jesse hears it, just gonna say you will get there.
Yeah. So Sarah's got a point here that I think I want to share so that people can we've kind of been scattered, but I want to give people some stuff to walk away with, right? Yeah. She says, I have found I need to be open to how the path might change. My overall goal, which won't change, is helping others find their authentic, fearless self and helping to lift others up. And so, Sarah, thank you for that. And that's, for me, that's the key. Mm-hmm. I know the direction. I know where I'm headed. I know what the outcome needs to look like. The path, it's okay for it to change. Because I know, or I've discovered throughout my life, that first, putting all my effort and energy into serving others in the way I best serve is what gives me life. I also know that the way I best serve evolves. Mm-hmm. And so when it evolves, I have to change, and the path curves and twists and moves around. So folks, again, if you're there, the easiest way I can say it's not a straight line. And if you're on a straight line and life doesn't have flavor, you can do it differently. And a big thing, easy first step you can do is change the people you're doing life with.
Yes. I love that. And it's if you right now, and you're listening to this conversation, feel like you're living a path divided. Ooh. If you feel like you're living, I'm not saying, two different secret lives, but if you're living a path divided, there are a ton of people, 2 of us up here, but also a whole lot of people in the comments that could possibly be a place for you to conversate, reflect, kind of mull on some stuff to help get those paths kind of a little bit closer together. And then you may have to make a detour. You may have to kind of go down a different road, but you've got to be able to be your authentic self. And Jesse, you hit on this earlier, is when I was able to not feel like I had to be this person here and this person here, and I was able to bring that vulnerability over here and also bring some of that energy and that excitement. Like when I was able to bring those paths together, it opened up so much more, and it allowed me to be able to foresee possible things that I would never have imagined.
Yes. So folks, I want to remind you, we have the after party. You will hear shortly. Go ahead, Jen, and I'll carry your
Okay. Yes. Here.
So we're going to have the after party. Please jump on and let's continue the conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts and what your experience was, and also so that we can cheat and use your thoughts to help put together the agenda for our next live stream. And so a couple of things. Victoria says, no, you didn't. Yep, it slipped, Victoria. Couldn't help it. My bad. Yesenia says, change the people you're doing life with. Did I hear that right? Yes, Yesenia, that was one of the recommendation. It doesn't have to be a hard cut and replace. It could be start adding people one at a time that are demonstrating the behaviors that you seek, that are breathing life into you. Start adding them. And then what happened for me is some people will self-select out. It doesn't mean abandon everybody and get a new crew. It just means find people that are walking and living and experiencing the life that you are attracted to get a feel or a better understanding of what that might be like. And then Bradley says, fearing failure fuels future flatulence.
There we go.
Wisdom. And so I think all of those things are really good things for us to latch onto for No BS Tribe out there in the Omniverse. There's some good stuff in the comments. Go back through the comments. Find us on YouTube. We're on the LinkedIn, all the stuff. And I want to close with this. The idea of just be yourself, right? I think we feel sometimes like the skin that we're wearing is the wrong skin. And people say, well, you just need to be more yourself. And then you say, well, what the hell does that mean? The thing that helps me be the way I am and be authentic and love the skin I'm in, because it's some pretty silky smooth skin I got. By being myself, this is what it means. It means I bring all my knowledge, I bring all my experience, but I don't stop there. I bring all my mistakes, I bring all my insecurities, I bring all my concerns, my fears. And when I mean bring, I mean they're on a platter for everybody to see.
Yes.
That is me being me. And for clarification, if all you're bringing is your resume and your certificates and your accolades, you ain't bringing it all. What do you think, Jen?
100%. So it is now created. It is now on the No BS page. So Jesse, you can do the link stuff if you want, because I know if you want to join us, and I know, and then I'll do my wrap up. We do, after every live stream, we do a LinkedIn live conversation where you can join in. Doesn't show your picture, your video or anything, but you're able to come and contribute, and your voices can be heard on a kind of an after party conversation. And there is a link that Jesse's going to share with you. And so that allows us to kind of stop talking a little bit and what are some things, some nuggets that maybe got your head tingling a little bit and you want to share some thoughts to a group of people. So if you want to do that, there will be links in different places that you can click on and join it. And it's all just audio. So you just join it and you can listen or you can contribute. But this conversation was just fire. And I think my biggest takeaway today was this week was crazy for me, and I got to connect to a lot of amazing people. But Jesse, we had some people on today that had never been here. And so just what this tribe is doing and what we are trying to do when it comes to having these vulnerable conversations, embracing change, but also like creating that group of people around us that will hype us up, but that will also, kind of call us out and tell us when maybe we need to be doing something different. So my challenge for the tribe this week is, when you're engaging with people, are you filling their cup and are you getting them to where, okay, they can see and they can feel better, or are you pulling from it? And are you taking it away to where when they walk away from you, like they're questioning, or they're maybe not in a good place? Because every one of you have the ability to engage and impact people's lives by just how you talk to them. That's what I got, Jen.
That was pretty good, Jen.
Every once in a while.
I love it. Okay, I just dropped the link in all the chats. So, folks, thanks for putting up with our little wackiness. Amazing comments, amazing cheat codes. Go back and read. Bradley put a blue heart. Go connect with Bradley. Dr. G. Yeah. So come to the after party. Let us know what you're thinking, and love y'all very much. And that ends the stream.
Yes. And message us if you need the